The Interstellar Academy floated above a pale blue gas giant. It was a place where many species trained together. Long halls of metal and glass echoed with strange footsteps, claws, hooves, and boots. Every wall had safety signs. Every door had warning lights. This academy believed survival came from rules, limits, and control. A large briefing room filled slowly. Alien cadets sat in curved rows, each seat shaped for a different body. Some were tall and thin, some were wide and heavy. Some breathed air, others used masks. At the center stood a raised platform where instructors spoke. On one side of the room sat a small group of human cadets. They looked fragile compared to the others. One instructor began speaking in a sharp voice. He was tall, with gray skin and 4 eyes that blinked at different times. He spoke about safety rules, injury reports, and acceptable risk levels. His voice grew louder as he pointed toward the human section. He said humans had already broken too many safety limits. He said their bones cracked too easily. He said their hearts failed under stress. He said humans should not be allowed in advanced combat training. Another instructor agreed. She said humans were unpredictable. She said they ignored warnings. She said they smiled when facing danger, and that made others nervous. Murmurs filled the room. Many alien cadets nodded. Some looked curious. A few looked afraid. Among the humans sat one young cadet. She listened quietly. Her posture was straight. Her hands rested calmly on her knees. She did not argue. She did not look angry. Her eyes stayed on the instructors. The lead instructor finally noticed her calm. He paused and asked why she was not reacting. He asked if she understood that her species might be removed from the program. The cadet stood up slowly. She was smaller than most in the room. Her uniform was plain. Her voice, when she spoke, was steady and clear. She said she understood the risks. She said humans always understood risk. The instructors exchanged looks. One of them laughed softly and said, "Understanding risk did not mean surviving it." The cadet did not answer right away. She reached up and loosened the top of her uniform. Gasps spread through the room as she pulled the fabric aside from her shoulder. On her skin was a dark tattoo. It showed a large predator with sharp eyes and bared teeth. The lines were bold. The image looked alive, like it could leap from her skin at any moment. The room went silent. Predator symbols were forbidden in the academy. Many species believed such images attracted violence. Some believed they were curses. Others believed they were signs of extinction events. One instructor shouted for security. Another demanded to know how she was allowed inside with that marking. The cadet calmly adjusted her uniform, but did not hide the tattoo fully. She said it was not a threat. She said it was a memory. The instructors argued loudly. They said predators were symbols of chaos. They said no civilized species honored hunters anymore. They said only dead worlds worship such things. The cadet listened again without interrupting. When they finally stopped, she spoke. She said humans came from a world where predators ruled the land, the sea, and the air. She said humans did not survive by being the strongest. They survived by learning, watching, adapting, and enduring. She said the tattoo reminded her of that truth. Some alien cadets shifted in their seats. A few leaned forward. Fear mixed with curiosity. The lead instructor said this explanation did not change the rules. He said symbols like that proved humans were dangerous. He said safety came from removing threats early. The cadet asked one simple question. She asked who decided what a threat looked like. No one answered. Suddenly, warning lights flashed along the walls. A low alarm filled the room. The Academy system announced an emergency council review. All cadets were ordered to remain seated. Security drones entered the room and hovered near the platform. The instructors looked unsettled. They had not expected the system to react. The cadet remained standing. Her expression did not change. As the council signal echoed, many in the room realized something important. The safety systems had flagged the discussion itself as a risk. The part ends with the council preparing to judge not just a tattoo, but what it meant to survive. The council chamber was deep inside the academy, high above the planet below. The walls were smooth metal, with no windows. Only glowing panels displayed warnings, rules, and the names of cadets. Alien council members gathered in a circle. Their shapes were strange and varied. Some had wings folded on their backs. Some had tentacles curled under their seats. Some had multiple heads, each whispering in a different voice. The human cadet was brought in by security drones. She walked calmly, hands behind her back. Her predator tattoo was still partly visible. The council members stared at it. Some looked uneasy. Others looked curious. One member whispered to another. The sound was like chimes clashing in a storm. The lead counselor spoke first. His voice was rough, like grinding metal. He said humans could not be trusted with advanced combat. He said they failed simple safety drills. He said the tattoo on the cadet's shoulder was proof humans were reckless. The cadet listened. She did not flinch. She said humans survived by understanding danger, not by avoiding it. She said her species learned to face risks and to think quickly when others froze. She said humans could turn a dangerous situation into survival if they acted with calm and courage. One council member laughed, a sound like rocks rolling. He said that explanation was meaningless. He said the academy rules were strict. Any human who challenged safety was a liability. He said the cadet must leave the combat program immediately. The cadet shook her head. She said leaving was not an answer. She said she could show them what humans could do. She volunteered to take the combat test designed for the Academy's best cadets. The room murmured in surprise. Council members whispered among themselves. The test was not for someone of her size or species. It was meant to push cadets to their limits. Many expected humans to fail immediately. After a long debate, the council agreed. The cadet would take the test. Some members still argued that it was too dangerous. Others said it would be interesting to see if humans could survive. The decision passed narrowly. The cadet was escorted to the test chamber. The doors were huge, heavy, and sealed. Inside, the room was dark. The air was thin, and the gravity could be adjusted. The walls could shift to create obstacles. Drones hovered silently, ready to attack when the test began. The chamber was designed to make cadets weak and afraid. As the cadet entered, she touched the panel beside the door. It activated the test. Instantly, lights flashed and gravity increased slightly. The drones moved into position. A voice echoed, "Survive for 30 minutes, or fail." She took a deep breath. Her small chest rose slowly. She remembered stories of humans surviving harsh environments on Earth. She remembered the meaning of her tattoo. The predator did not attack blindly. It waited, observed, and struck only when necessary. The first drone moved forward quickly, weapons ready. Most cadets would panic, but she did not. She watched its movement. She dodged, rolled, and allowed the drone to pass. It fired a beam that hit the wall, leaving a mark. She adjusted her position and waited for the next move. The second drone was faster. It darted like a bird of prey. The cadet studied its path. She used the room's obstacles, ducked behind a panel, and jumped to a higher ledge. Her movements were careful but deliberate. She made almost no sound. The drone collided with the wall. She did not need to fight it. She just outsmarted it. Time passed. Minutes stretched slowly. Drones came in waves. Gravity shifted up and down. Oxygen levels changed. The cadet adapted each time. She noticed patterns in the drone's movements. She noticed how the chamber reacted to stress. Each moment tested her mind, not just her body. Back in the council chamber, members argued again. Some said humans were lucky. Others said she could not last. A few leaned forward, their many eyes fixed on the monitors. Every pulse, every move, every reaction was visible on the panels. Fear mixed with curiosity in their voices. Halfway through the test, a new obstacle appeared. A floor section dropped suddenly, revealing a deep pit. One drone hovered above, ready to attack. The cadet's heart beat faster. She considered her options. Jumping might be dangerous. Standing still was worse. She took a breath, observed the drone, and ran along the edge of the pit. She used her small size to slip under the drone's attack and reached the other side. The pit was behind her, the drone disabled by its own collision with the walls. Minutes passed, yet she moved with calm precision. Her mind worked like a human predator. She did not fight every threat directly. She waited, observed, and struck at the perfect moment. Her body was small, but her mind was sharper than many larger cadets. The last few minutes of the test were the hardest. Oxygen dropped further. Gravity increased again. Drones became unpredictable. Most cadets would collapse in fear or exhaustion. She did not. She slowed her breathing. She measured each step. She jumped, rolled, and ducked in exact timing with the drone's attacks. Finally, the last drone fell silent. The test timer stopped. She stood in the middle of the chamber, breathing steadily. Outside, the council members watched the results. Many were shocked. Some whispered that humans could not be this strong. Others argued that it was a fluke. A few began to understand that humans survived differently, not because of raw strength, but because of instinct and intelligence. The cadet walked out of the chamber. She did not smile. She did not boast. She simply adjusted her uniform and touched the predator tattoo on her shoulder. She looked at the council members with quiet confidence. Some council members were still angry. Some were impressed. Some were afraid. The cadet had proven one thing clearly. Humans could survive what others thought impossible. Yet the question remained. Did the council dare trust a species that thrived by facing danger even when rules said otherwise? The part ends with the cadet waiting quietly, the room buzzing with whispered arguments. The council had no choice but to decide her fate, but deep inside, many feared the answer might not matter. Humans were different, and their difference was powerful. The academy corridors were quiet now. Most cadets were resting after their tests. Alien instructors walked in groups discussing the human cadet and her performance. Some spoke in disbelief. Some argued over what her success meant. The cadet walked alone, her predator tattoo partly covered by her uniform. She moved calmly, listening to the faint echoes of her own steps. She entered a simulation hall, where advanced machines prepared for the next exercises. The room was dark and cold. The machines scanned her body, checking strength, speed, and vital signs. The results were unusual. The human cadet did not match expected patterns. Machines emitted warning beeps and adjusted calculations. The monitors showed numbers no one understood. One instructor entered. He was small and wiry, with silver skin that shone under the lights. He observed the readings and frowned. He had seen many cadets fail tests, but nothing like this. He called for another instructor, a larger being with scales and horns. They studied the cadet together, murmuring. Meanwhile, the cadet prepared for another simulation. She knew it would be harder than the last. Gravity would increase, oxygen would drop, and hostile drones would adapt to her movements. She closed her eyes for a moment, remembering the predator tattoo. It was not just a symbol. It was a reminder that humans survived by thinking, not only by fighting. The doors closed behind her, and the simulation began. Gravity shifted immediately. The floor tilted, creating sudden slopes and obstacles. Drones moved faster than before. One hovered close, firing beams in unpredictable directions. The cadet ducked, rolled, and ran along the walls where the gravity was weaker. She used each tilt and turn to her advantage, making her movements almost invisible to the drone's sensors. Minutes passed. The drones attacked in patterns, but the cadet adapted quickly. She noticed a weak point in one drone's design. A small joint allowed it to tip if pressure was applied at the right angle. She lured it into a corner and pushed it with a timed movement. The machine toppled over, sparking but still active. She did not stop. She moved to the next challenge. A corridor suddenly sealed off, leaving her in a narrow space with two drones above. The walls began to shift. She felt a sudden increase in gravity, pressing her down. Most cadets would have panicked. She breathed slowly, thinking. She noticed a small ledge and jumped with precision, avoiding the drone's beams. One drone collided with a wall and the other hesitated. She used the hesitation to slip past and reach the next chamber. Inside the new room, oxygen was low, and temperature fluctuated rapidly. The cadet could feel her lungs burning. She slowed her breathing, conserving air while staying alert. She watched the drone's movements and predicted their attacks. Her body was small but strong, trained to endure more than the machines expected. She remembered humans' ancient skills, observing predators, learning patterns, striking at the right moment. Outside, the council watched her progress on monitors. Some members whispered that humans could not exist like this. Others argued that her survival was a fluke, a moment of luck. But each time a drone fell or a challenge was passed, the murmurs grew quieter. The council had no experience with beings that thrived under pressure by thinking, not only by strength. The simulation entered its final stage. The room became dark save for red warning lights. Drones swarmed from every direction, faster and more aggressive than before. The cadet could hear the hum of energy beams and the buzz of their sensors. She stayed calm. She moved with precision, timing each step, each roll, and each jump perfectly. She allowed some drones to pass, attacking only when the opportunity was perfect. Suddenly, one drone fired directly at her. Ha! 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 She saw it too late to dodge completely. She used her agility to twist mid-air, letting the beam graze her arm. Pain shot through her muscles, but she did not falter. She landed on a platform and used the environment to knock the drone down. Sparks flew. The cadet adjusted her uniform, blood staining the sleeve slightly, but her eyes were steady. Time slowed in her mind. She sensed patterns forming. Drones were reacting to her movements, but she predicted their logic. One by one, she disabled them using minimal force, letting the machines collapse into each other The last few minutes tested her endurance. Gravity increased to its maximum. Oxygen dropped near danger levels. She felt fatigue, but she ignored it. Her mind worked sharper than ever. Finally, the simulation ended. The lights came on. The machines powered down. The cadet stood in the center of the room, breathing heavily but fully conscious. Her uniform was torn and bloodied, but her posture was straight. She had survived the impossible. Outside, council members watched in stunned silence. Some could not believe the results. Others argued, their many voices overlapping in confusion. A few began to see humans in a new light. They realized humans did not only survive danger, they learned from it, adapted, and endured beyond expectation. The cadet walked out of the simulation hall. She touched the predator tattoo on her shoulder. The symbol no longer represented fear. It was a mark of survival, strategy, and resilience. Council members stared. Some were afraid, some were impressed, some still doubted, but all knew one truth. Humans were different, and their difference could not be ignored. The part ends with the cadet standing in the corridor, calm, observing the reactions around her. The council had to decide her future, but deep inside, they feared her instincts and the lessons humans could teach the galaxy. The predator tattoo seemed to shine in the light, a warning that humans survived not by rules alone, but by instinct, intelligence, and courage. Alien cadets whispered among themselves, and instructors examined results. Suddenly, alarms rang through the halls. Red lights flashed, and the Academy's security system blared warnings. The monitors displayed a message: external raiders approaching. Ships were detected in orbit, moving faster than expected. The Academy, built for training, was not fully prepared for attack. Panic spread among cadets. Some ran towards safe zones. Others tried to activate defensive systems. Alien instructors barked orders, but the situation was chaotic. Systems that usually ensured safety began to fail. Force fields flickered, doors jammed. Many cadets froze, unsure what to do next. The human cadet stood in the hallway, observing calmly. Her small size and quiet movements allowed her to avoid the rushing panic. She knew that waiting for orders would be useless. The instructors were overwhelmed. Many of the cadets were unprepared for real danger. She understood that humans survived by acting when others hesitated. She took control, quietly. First, she moved to the main security panel. The room was hot with malfunctioning electronics, sparks flying from broken circuits. She quickly bypassed some of the locks, rerouting power to sections of the Academy still intact. She did not rely on strength. She relied on knowledge, speed, and strategy. Next, she guided smaller groups of cadets. Some were frightened, shaking in place. Others followed her immediately, trusting her instincts even though they did not know her name. She used the corridors and maintenance passages to avoid detection from the raiders' scanning drones. Her predator tattoo was partly visible, a symbol of calm in the chaos. The raiders entered the lower decks. They were swift and heavily armed, designed to overpower any defense. Alien cadets tried to fight but were quickly disarmed. The human cadet set traps using simple tools. She moved crates, rigged energy pulses from broken circuits, and led raiders into areas where their weapons became useless. Each step was precise. Each move predicted. In one corridor, a group of young alien cadets was cornered. The raiders advanced with lethal intent. The human cadet reached them just in time. She gave quick instructions and guided them through a service tunnel. The raiders' weapons fired, but the tunnel layout gave the cadets protection. Some of the aliens whispered, amazed at her foresight and calm. The Academy's main defense systems were offline, leaving the raiders almost free to move. The cadet did not panic. She used communication panels to direct survivors to safe zones and control sections of the facility. Some instructors tried to regain control, but their efforts were clumsy compared to her quick decisions. Slowly, the cadet turned chaos into organized movement. At one point, the raiders breached a storage room. The cadet led a counter-move. She used low-level explosives and electrical traps designed to disable rather than destroy. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and raiders were forced back. Alien cadets watched in shock as she moved quickly and efficiently, protecting themselves while keeping the attackers confused. Hours passed. The raiders were persistent, but the cadet adapted to every attack. She observed their patterns, predicted their moves, and forced them into areas where they could not use full strength. Other cadets began to imitate her movements, following her lead. Slowly, a pattern of human logic began to spread among the frightened aliens. They learned to survive by thinking, not by relying solely on brute force or technology. Eventually, the raiders were repelled from the intersections. Many were damaged or forced to retreat. The human cadet stood in the central corridor, breathing steadily. Her uniform was torn, dirt-stained, and streaked with small cuts, but her posture was strong and calm. She had led without orders, adapted to chaos, and protected more cadets than any system could. The council arrived in the aftermath. They inspected the damage and evaluated the response. Many instructors whispered, some with admiration, some with fear. The cadets' actions had saved dozens of lives. Without her quick thinking, the Academy might have been lost. Her predator tattoo was no longer a warning symbol. It had become a mark of leadership, skill, and survival instinct. The council debated. Some wanted to punish her for breaking protocols. Others argued that she had demonstrated the value of humans in ways no machine or rulebook could measure. Her calm during chaos, her intelligence, and her instinctive leadership forced them to reconsider everything they believed about humans. The cadet did not speak during the debate. She simply adjusted her uniform and touched the tattoo lightly. Her eyes scanned the room. Alien cadets looked at her with new respect. Instructors were divided, unsure whether to fear her or honor her. But all knew one truth. Humans could survive situations that others could not, and rules alone were not enough to contain them. The part ends with the cadet standing in the middle of the academy, calm amid the wreckage. The council had to make a decision about her future, but the galaxy had already seen the power of human instincts, leadership, and courage. The predator tattoo seemed to shine under the academy lights, a symbol that humans were not only survivors but leaders in the face of true danger. The academy was quiet now. The raiders had retreated, and emergency alarms had stopped. The corridors were damaged, walls scorched, and doors bent from the attacks. Cadets and instructors moved carefully, checking the systems and tending to minor injuries. The human cadet walked through the halls calmly, her uniform torn, but her posture strong. Her predator tattoo was partly visible, a symbol that now held respect rather than fear. The council gathered in the main chamber. The debate was tense. Some members wanted to punish the cadet for ignoring protocols, breaking rules, and acting without orders. Others argued that she had saved lives, preserved the academy, and proved the value of human instincts. The discussion became heated, voices overlapping, some screaming, some whispering urgently. The cadet waited silently, observing each council member without fear. One counselor, a tall being with elongated arms and luminous eyes, spoke first. He said humans were reckless. He said the cadet could have caused even more damage if she had failed. He warned against allowing humans freedom within the academy. Other members shook their heads, pointing to the evidence on monitors. Hundreds of cadets survived and the raiders were repelled. A smaller counselor with blue-scaled skin and tentacle-like hair interrupted. She spoke slowly, each word measured. She said the human cadet had shown something no other species could. Humans did not survive by avoiding danger. They survived by understanding it, predicting it, and acting with intelligence and instinct. She said the cadet had not only survived, she had turned chaos into order. The debate continued. Many members divided. Some feared what humans could do if unrestricted. Others admired their courage and cunning. The cadet stepped forward. Her voice was calm, steady, and clear. She spoke about humans' history, about surviving on a dangerous planet where predators hunted every day. She said humans did not ignore danger. They respected it, studied it, and used it to grow stronger. The council fell silent. Her words had weight. Alien species had never faced such reasoning during life-or-death situations. They had relied on rules, machines, and strength. Humans relied on thought, courage, and instincts that could not be measured by their systems. The predator tattoo on her shoulder became a focal point, a mark that symbolized all that she represented: survival, intelligence, and adaptability. Some cadets whispered among themselves. Instructors looked at her with new respect, realizing they had underestimated humans. The cadet did not boast, did not threaten. She simply explained, with calm precision, why humans were valuable allies and why their instincts could save lives that machines and rules could not. After long hours, the council came to a decision. They would allow humans full participation in combat training. They would not restrict them by fear or superstition. They acknowledged that human instincts, courage, and intelligence were critical assets. The cadet had proven that survival depended not only on rules and strength, but on understanding, adaptability, and bold action. Outside the chamber, the cadet walked through the hallways. Other cadets, alien and human alike, looked at her with admiration. Some touched her arm lightly in silent respect. Others followed her lead, learning to move, observe, and adapt as she had taught by example. The predator tattoo glinted under the lights, no longer a symbol of fear but a badge of honor. The academy began repairs, systems were restored, and cadets resumed their routines. Yet the lessons of the attack lingered. Rules alone were not enough to survive. Machines could be defeated. Fear could paralyze. Humans had shown that instinct, courage, and strategy could overcome any challenge. The predator tattoo became a symbol among the cadets, reminding them that survival was more than obedience. It was intelligence, bravery, and the ability to act when others froze. The cadets stood on a balcony overlooking the academy, looking at the horizon where the gas giant loomed. Ships still patrolled the skies, but the attack had changed everything. Alien cadets now asked humans to teach them survival thinking. Instructors considered rewriting protocols to include human methods. The cadet touched her tattoo lightly, remembering her ancestors' struggles on Earth, and smiled faintly. She knew that the galaxy had only begun to understand humans. The story ends with the cadet standing strong, calm, and ready. The predator tattoo glimmered in the light. Humans were no longer underestimated. The galaxy had witnessed their courage, instincts, and intelligence. Future challenges would be faced differently because humans had shown the way. And the cadet knew that as long as humans remembered to think, adapt, and act, nothing in the galaxy could surprise them. The predator tattoo was not a warning anymore. It was a promise of survival, leadership, and power.